Yeah, we should be. I mean, Twitch is going to take its second to do its thing. Boot
Yeah.
up. Well, it shows that we're live.
All right, tweet is going out.
Alrighty.
Cool.
I will retweet. You need to post pictures, bro, with your tweets. Like, find a picture, like a meme, like the PS4 with the Kaiba head on it. It just makes it more eye-grabbing.
True.
And plus, I think
Then you need to start your OnlyFans and
that's
with
the
it.
OnlyFans.
That's the running joke. That's the running joke.
This is what a whale's OnlyFans is like.
Well, only whales.
Only the whales. Hashtag Andre.
Dude, Nolar, post those flipper pictures, man. I need to see them. Just go to like some pool store and just like get some flippers and put them like post them as a picture.
Bum 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 bum.
Did you hear about the Twitch signing up with Monster Cat? If you buy a Monster Cat license,
The affiliate.
Wait.
That's cheap, man.
immediate.
Yeah, I saw that.
Wait,
Wait, really?
Wait,
Monster
wait.
Cat?
Did you notice they-
You didn't let him
Did you
finish
notice they
his
changed
sentence
the
before
wording
you
on
said I
that?
saw that. Let him finish what he was saying. What? Because I bought one, I already own one, so this applies to me. Now, what's the situation?
Well, once you buy a Monster Cat a license, you automatically become affiliate on Twitch. Like you don't have to do any of the work; you just automatically upgrade to affiliate. Which, I mean,
nice.
to get to affiliate is not difficult, honestly. But
well, that means I'm a Twitch affiliate. Moving on up.
Interesting.
yep.
I've been in a Monster
Who's
Cat
here today?
for
All right, so Anime Monkey, it's as you can see, it's Hydros, Lethal, Nas, myself, and Kensei. We're just here hanging out.
I don't
Yep.
mean this in a rude way, but the names are on screen. So
Yes, that's true.
unless you're listening to it while running on a treadmill, hopefully you can see that we're all here. Hydros, Lethal, myself, Nalar, Kensei. Other people are welcome to come and go. We're just kind of chilling, like Nalar said,
Yep.
informal.
Just hanging out.
That's why Cyclops is painting a picture down in the bottom of the frame, just chilling.
You mean Colossus? Not Cyclops. That's Colossus.
They're Colossus.
Yeah,
It'd been
the
better
Colossus.
if he had it. It'd been better if he had an afro, so that'd be he'd be like
No.
Bob Ross.
Bob
Bob
Colossus
Ross, yeah.
What's going on, guys?
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well,
So not only are we chilling, but we are discussing some relevant news topics, right? So there's a theme.
Yes, we
We're
are.
not just literally wasting your all's time here, but we're chilling and talking about relevant gaming, console, mostly stuff, and then we'll see where it devolves into from there. Nalar, you and Lethal could probably lead this part of the discussion, or at least me and you for the Nintendo part, and Hydros too, probably Kensei, and then Lethal's gonna take over for the whole middle chunk of the video, and then
Yeah.
yeah. Well, all right. So look, again, we're informally talking with y'all and talking to each other about this. So look, I don't know if you heard some of the buzz this week, but there was supposed to be a huge Smash Bros tournament, right? Is it Melee?
No, it's Melee. The event is called Big House. So usually Big House is a big event where people come together from online, and sometimes, well, now that with the pandemic is going to effect, there's like huge Melee top tier players. They come in and they play together in a big house, and they literally just go for top like whatever they want to. So literally now what happened is that this happened before. It happened in Evo either 2012 or 2013, where Nintendo banned the Evo not to stream, or told them to not to stream Melee, and it's happening again over here because I think they're using like a modded some kind of like Slippy, some kind of a mod thing.
Yeah, so right there it says one such mod is Slippy, which was released earlier this year and improves online infrastructure in a way that makes it smooth enough for competitive matches. Big House intended to use this, but Nintendo of America issued a cease and desist order to block the event. So yeah, they were told they can't, they don't have permission to host or stream it because of the usage of Slippy. So they had to just cancel the entire event altogether.
To my understanding, the wording of mod here is questionably accurate in terms of its usage, because from what I understand, Slippy is just like a live injection of code that just adds functionality to allow people to play Melee and some type of online infrastructure. Right? It's
basically. It's like this thing. It's like a if you ever notice the word ever know the word rollback netcode, it's literally a fighting game term where let's say if you're like in Japan right now and let's say if I'm facing Talon and we're playing online Melee and he's in Japan and I'm over here in the US, rollback netcode literally makes this possible to have like no lag in it. So this is really good for online Melee because there's no online on Melee because it's the GameCube. So rollback netcode is a good thing because now we cannot play online. So what I assume Nintendo did not like that there's this rollback netcode thing happening without their, I call it, a play in their part. So it's kind of stupid that Nintendo is doing this, is that they're trying to hold back Melee in its part right now. So it's Nintendo. They did this way in the back in the old years for the Evo. So they do it again. So Nintendo is just at again, like always.
Yeah, I mean, right there in the paragraph right above you, it says, in a statement to Kotaku, Nintendo spokesperson said the company appreciates the love and dedication for Smash Bros. Among the fighting game community, and highlighted that not only has it partnered with various tournaments, but both online and offline in the past, but will continue to do so in the future. But the use of illegally copied versions of the game, as well as Slippy, that Nintendo took issue with. So, yeah, it's a very big technicality, right? Because technically speaking, using Slippy is a mod, so they obviously Nintendo is well within their legal rights to say this is copyright infringement, cease and desist letters, and all that. But like we mentioned in that video we did about fair use, just because you have the legal right to do it doesn't mean is that
it's the
morally
whole
right
legal versus moral decision.
Yeah.
Right?
So
yes, it's
Not to
legal
mention
for them to
you're
do
getting into
it,
the
but no,
pirating
it's
aspect of
immoral
this.
because, especially right now, Melee's like a 20-year-old game. There is no infrastructure to play it online currently. They don't sell the game. It's not been ported over to any of Nintendo's updated marketplaces. It's questionable even some licensing because characters that are in it might have fallen out of license. So, like, why they're just being extra stingy? It's like when Nintendo had their mass crusade against ROMs and emulators recently. More so ROMs, not the emulators, because emulation is 100% legal. But the ROMs specifically, Nintendo had a whole crusade about that within the past like 2 or 3 years. And I remember a bunch of popular ROM hosting sites being shut down. Just countless games that Nintendo will never be able to port and resell just due to expired copyrights and licensing that they're not going to be able to access again. Like, do you think Nintendo's going to pay to relicense like the Back to the Future games on Nintendo just so they can port them over to the free Nintendo online emulator? Like, no. You will never be able to get that experience again unless you own it or find it online, on a ROM, because they're not going to resell games like that. There's tons of other old licensed games that they're not going to be able to relicense and profit off of. So they're just going to be buried, shelved, or, enjoyed by people who can share them, in questionably legal ways. But there's got to be certain time limits or some revision to the copyright law that allows for this to not happen this way so that people can continue to enjoy old games and play them and have support for them, even if it's not, from the official first party sources. That, it is a travesty that stuff like this happens.
That's an entire gray area when you're getting into piracy and all that mess, because what they want to do is stop illegal distribution of these games, to where if you didn't pay for them and you're just getting it for free, no. I mean, even if I'm a modder and I'm known for that kind of stuff as well, but that kind of draws a line as well. It's like, for them, I agree with them, because you didn't pay for this game. If you've never owned the game, why should you still be able to play this game? So no. And Nintendo is fully and rightfully able to take all these ROMs and all that stuff down. But as per the internet, once it's out there forever. It's not going to be gone for good. So it's always going to exist. But again, Nintendo is fully within that right. That law, in my opinion, doesn't need to be changed, because that's just that. Because it's their games. It's their copyright.
Well, it is, but after a certain amount of time, like I mentioned, it falls out of copyright. And even Nintendo themselves don't have the legal access to resell those games. Like the movie license for Back to the Future, if they wanted to port that over and resell it, they would have to pay, I would assume now, Disney or Fox, whoever owns Back to the Future and 20th Century Fox, I would assume, carried over to Disney. So they would have to pay them to relicense that to resell it. So when they swing
resell it. That's to resell it.
Right.
But just owning the games that are already out there, if they're not reselling it, that is still theirs. They still are within the right to do whatever they want with the current existing copies of these games.
Oh yeah, in terms of
that includes ROMs and taking those down, because those are from existing copies. They're not brand new copies floating out there willy-nilly. They're from existing copies. They're ripped from those. So yeah, I agree with Nintendo. They should take those away, but again, a lot of old games can't be played without actually access to ROMs. But it is what it is. But that's within Nintendo's right to do this.
So
whether they should, again, this is the copyright thing. Whether they should,
yeah,
it's that logic all over again. But in terms of what they can do, that's their right to do it.
My only point is, when they swing their big legal dick around, the main premise of that lawsuit ever succeeding in the first place is all relevant on like financial damages, right? Like, we're suing you because your third-party replication, fan remake, mod, ROM, whatever, is causing our company financial damages due to the nature of it replacing the original experience, right? But they haven't made money off of Melee in at least like 15 years. So that's where it becomes like the morality versus legality issue, because it's like they're not receiving any financial damages because they're not selling the game. There's not making money off of it. Like, anywhere that you're buying that game is going to be like eBay or a flea market or a third-hand video game store. Like, no official Nintendo retailer is selling any of that stuff or making money off of it for them to claim that they have received financial damages because of its operation or distribution or whatever, Like, that's where it becomes really weird.
This is why they make new versions of these games to thus overthrow the old ones.
Undoubtedly, some of them they'll have that claim. Like, if you were to copy Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, which they can very easily, because that's an in-house first-party title where they can remarket that, they could definitely have a claim there. But some of the really weird, old, obscure stuff that's never going to see the light of day again, it's like, yes, they still have the same legal claim, but they're poo-pooing on fun, because otherwise that game is just going to be erased off the face of the world, and nobody will be able to enjoy it.
It's not really much newer than Nintendo. They've done this even with like the Pokemon ROMs, and it's always been a problem for them.
Well, yeah,
they don't like modding. The Slippy stuff I can agree with, because they don't like modding. They never like it. They don't want anything to do with it or around their systems, their games, whatever. But again, if this tournament wasn't like sponsored by Nintendo, if these people were just doing it to do it, for like a tournament of their own sort of standard, for Nintendo to come in, yeah, it's just them swinging their dick around like, hey, don't do this. But we didn't sponsor this, but we don't want you to do this anyway.
It illustrates. It definitely illustrates that Nintendo is spearheaded by a bunch of like 70-year-old men in suits and stuff that have no grasp of 2020 culture, even in their own country. It feels like.
Well, so they're out of touch.
You got to realize they're in Japan as well, so they have.
Yeah, I remember like
a lot of different standards over there too that they probably even uphold everywhere else because it's theirs. That's their company. They can they can do what they want really if they wanted to. If it's within their grounds to do it, they're gonna do it.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. But Nalar mentioned with one sentence summed it all up. They're just out of touch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's more so everything that's going on right now than just Nintendo.
Yeah, well, I mean that speaks to a lot of our current culture, but that's a whole other topic for a whole other day. Lethal, you have any thoughts on this, or you're just kind of like, eh?
I mean, pretty much. I'm like, I understand what everybody's kind of saying. I mean, I don't follow too much of like the Smash stuff and Nintendo stuff too well, but I mean, I always feel like Nintendo was notorious for having like just like that nostalgic kind of fan base, like the people that still want to go back and play Melee, and they want to still like experiment and mess around with it, and mod it and do all the stuff with it. So to some degree, I'll always understand the business side of everything, and how Nintendo is about all that stuff. But at the same time, I do hope they see sometimes the stuff like this, and it's something that they can. I mean, not that they don't support Melee Melee tournaments to this day and stuff like that, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know if they'll ever come around to accepting of the stuff like that. But I mean, I hope they see it, and still see that there's a big fan base out there for Melee.
Right. So. All right. Well, I mean, look, if we lived in a perfect world, Nintendo would let this fly because in the pandemic, everything is supposed to be online, virtual, and whatnot. But they've got certain rules and things they want to uphold, and it is what it is. So, you guys let us know what you guys think about that. Let's move on to our next little topic here. We're talking about is the PS5. I think Hydros can give us a good look into what it's like trying to find PS5.
I'm looking at chat, and chat's like, rest in peace, PS5.
Bro.
Go ahead,
It's
Hydros.
so hard to get one. I've been sitting at my computer waiting to get one. I've been on the direct site. I went to I had it in my cart at Walmart, and I was like pressing place order like a madman. Like my mouse, like its lifespan probably just degraded 5 more months because I was clicking so much. So and it still did, and it sold out instantly.
Yeah, it's absolutely nuts, dude. Like I can say from my experience, from like me pre-ordering it the day that everything just went live for the first time, versus me going back and trying to help out some friends to see if I can get even a possible like another PlayStation 5. It's so impossible. Like I'm pretty much at the point where I'm on the website like 10-20 minutes before it even goes goes live pretty much, and I'm refreshing it. I'm even having the auto refresh going on. I swear to God, it's like at 2:59 it'll go live, or even 3 on the dot, like because it's like Walmart's the only retailer I keep seeing that keeps doing these, and GameStop does like the big bundles. But for the most part, like Walmart and GameStop is the same thing. It's like it says checkout, and you click on it as soon as like it goes live, and it's just not possible, dude. It's not even available. It goes right to saying like, oh, there's an error with your checkout, or we ran out of stock, and it's just like, dude, it's insane. Versus when I first did the pre-order, like there was actual like there was like I could check out, it loaded up, it was fine. Like again, they did it differently where when the pre-orders first initially started, no one really knew about it. It was super chaotic. It just kind of went live and it happened. Retailers started and went ahead, which when you think about it, that was kind of the right way of doing it, because every single time that I've seen that they've announced like, hey, pre-orders are going to happen on this day at this time, I always see the same responses from everybody. It's impossible. It's impossible. It's impossible. And again, I've seen people even when we did it on the first day at launch, like you were still like, you had such a bigger like window to pre-order. Like, it wasn't like a millisecond. It was like, a couple of minutes and then the thing actually went out of stock. But it's just crazy to see how impossible it is to actually get it. And now there's like reports pretty much going out that like, this is what Sammy Barker from Push Square is basically saying that everything is sold out. According to Jim Ryan, the stock has pretty much the scary part is that Jim Ryan was basically saying, the first time, like, we're going to have a lot in stock for PlayStation 5 when it releases. I think there was even talks going around saying that like they were going to have a bunch they were going to have more, I think, available than PS4, or I don't know if that's rumor or if that was 100%, but even that was circling out there. But I'm more than positive the demand for for PlayStation 5 for this opposite generation has just been pretty insane. Like I think obviously with COVID too, it's been kind of hard to stay on top of it and want to produce as much as they possibly can. But it's just nuts. The demand for this is crazy, and they're selling out like hotcakes. And I think they're kind of at this point now where they have to really focus on just meeting that demand for the consumers to want to get out these PS5s. And I mean, I've been seeing Hydros and a bunch of others who are just literally trying, like you're getting multiple tabs opened up of these websites, and it's almost impossible.
From what I understand, a huge part of the problem is also scalpers that are running bots to like instantly grab up all of them as soon as they become available, so then they can try and do what they do and scalp them, $1,000 or whatever on eBay and whatnot. I've seen
that has to be it.
I've seen quite a bit of.
The main problem is the retailers. Sony's direct website, if you're buying directly from PlayStation, their queue system is a lot better than just buying from a retailer. Retailers literally just like Walmart's just sitting there spewing out, hey, 3 p.m., come get it. And it's gone within minutes. And they have no protection against anything like scalpers with these bots, because the bots are what's crashing these websites. And then you have the mass rush of people trying to beat the bots, crashing it even worse.
Right.
But what PlayStation does, they haven't really announced like, hey, we're doing it at this time. They kind of had a pattern throughout this week. Monday it was like 2 o'clock. Tuesday it was 3 o'clock. Wednesday 4 o'clock. Yesterday 5 o'clock. Today was supposed to be 6 o'clock, but they actually didn't do one today, where they initiate the queue. You queue up, and usually, from what I remember, it starts like right on the dot of the hour, maybe like at least 2 minutes into the hour. So
right.
People who get in like literally at the second that goes live are the ones that got lucky enough to get in. And then you're sitting in the queue for a while, waiting for the stock to actually get to be brought up. And at least this week, stocks have lasted like 15, 20 minutes just from PlayStation versus like Walmart, GameStop selling out in seconds. So PlayStation, at least in terms of what their queue is doing, is hopefully getting rid of some of these scalpers that are actually trying to beat this. And then, they have the queue with the captchas and all that kind of stuff. So it does help. And I have been stuck. Like I think it was like Tuesday, I had 30 minutes left in my queue time to get into the store to actually get one. And just as I was about to get in, gone. It's just like, oh my God.
Yeah, so far I've only even seen obviously doing it the online way, it's literally impossible, especially with the bots and everything. Yeah. But I was shocked to see that GameStop put on their Black Friday ad that they're going to actually do an in-store limited stock. And I don't know how that's going to turn out, but that's probably, and I've been telling a couple people, that's probably the only way you're going to ever get a chance to probably get one if you haven't gotten it from a pre-order, is probably going to an actual in-store and doing it that way, because I just couldn't imagine online getting any better anytime soon.
No, online is a cesspool because it's just everyone's at home. As you said, COVID, everybody's home, and so everyone's online, trying to beat it. I still imagine that like GameStop and stuff is going to be like, well, what's social distancing? Because that's not going to be the case at GameStop.
Right, and they're going to probably have like two. You know how it's going to work. They're going to be a bunch of people lined up. They'll be like, guys, we only have like one or two, because that's probably what's going to end up happening.
And then you have the people that are a problem that are buying multiple. For them, like just buying multiple as one person. Like I've seen a couple people on like the now in stock sites, that alerts you whenever they go in stock and stuff. People chatting, I just got my second one. Yeah, I'm like, bruh, leave. I hate these now in stock sites. Like I wish they didn't exist, because I'm sure it would be much more fair now if that wasn't a thing.
Sometimes I've been saying too, sometimes I wish they kind of just would not announce when they're going to just kind of go live, and just have it just kind of just randomly go live and try it that way and see if it makes a difference. Because I'm saying it was such a different experience, doing it when there was no announcement versus when there was an announcement. So sometimes I do wish they would try it that way. Because I'm sure they see people complaining about the scalpers and stuff like that. I'm sure they have to see that stuff.
Oh, everyone is complaining about it. I went on Facebook just see if I can find one near me. See if I find one. $1,000, $1,500, $2,000. I'm like, dude, why would I pay double, almost triple the MSRP of this console when I can buy a 30? I mean, even the RTX 3090s are hard to get, but I could probably find one easier of those than I can a PS5.
That's actually my legitimate line of questioning right now, because I'm already more of a PC gamer than a console anyway, so I could you know, why get a console and start from scratch when I can just modify what I already have a good foundation for?
Yeah, this is way worse than the PS4's launch. Obviously,
oh my God.
we have COVID,
PS4's
so
launch.
it is a little bit different. But I mean, PlayStation 4, yeah, it did sell out rather quickly, but it was not this quick.
No, dude, no way. Yeah, exactly how you said. Like this, again, like just the demand for PS5, it's crazy. It's everybody wants it. PS4 did such a good job last generation, and a lot of people want PS5 this time.
Mm-hmm. Just the hardware upgrade is significant enough to people are just wanting it. So, I just want to customize the plates, man. That's all I want.
Oh my God, I can't believe they actually. They're like, I feel like they're working on something for that, like for the PlayStation 5, because I remember that I think they took down a site that was like already doing it ahead of the time. I wish I knew the name of the site, but they were already doing like custom plates and stuff like that. But I think Sony has something planned for that.
Like Plate Station, then they had to rename
that's what it was. Yep, and then people were buying them like crazy. They're making so much money, and then I think they got hit with the something from PlayStation pretty much to stop it, and then they did. And I was like, damn. Well, I guess that means they just have something probably in the works at some point.
Oh, for what's selling custom plates?
Like absurd amount of money.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a hunk of plastic. People could probably easily 3D print those things and
just
do it themselves.
I mean, if I knew to do it, I would 100% do it. But from what I've been told, like it's not too hard to do stuff like that. I mean, people have even been like, I'm not like an artist or whatever, but people have been able to spray paint or paint their consoles too and everything.
It's plastic dip. It literally peels off, so you can take it off if you want.
Yeah,
so that's what I was gonna do. I was gonna plastic dip and put the 5 logo on the side.
Hey.
But yeah, scalpers, big ass middle finger to all of you. I hate every single one of you that are scalping these consoles.
I know. If you're out there and you're selling these consoles for like $1,500, think about it. Think about that kid on Christmas who's going to miss out now because you had to go ahead and buy 30 PlayStations and you took away that kid's Christmas, man. Think about that. Even us adults, come on.
I see others having like huge stocks and they're giving. I mean, I get they're giving it away on Twitter, but I mean, I'll buy it from you. Can I just have it?
I know. Like, at least be reasonable about it. Like, I mean, not that I will ever condone it, and it's kind of annoying, but like, if you're gonna sell it, you know, like really $1,500, come on.
It's not a limited edition. It's not a limited run console. Yes, it's a limited stock, but eventually it catches up, and no one in their right mind should be paying for these things that way.
Right.
If you just have the money and you just don't care, then, you know, wail out like Nalar for all I guess. But other than that, you shouldn't be spending $1,500, even $1,000 on. I won't even spend $700 on this. I'll maybe go $600. But that's pushing it. That's just like, here's a little bit of extra for your troubles. You know, it's sold out. Here's a little bit more. But it's after 600, no, that's too much.
All right, let's segue into this. So there's another piece of news going out there, and I feel bad. I believe this applies to the UK. I want to say I think it's only for the Amazon members of UK. But basically, a report went out, and scroll down a little bit. The original story. I'm going to read it a little bit. It says, imagine securing a PlayStation 5 for launch day, anxiously waiting for your console to arrive, and then opening the box to find a kitchen appliance instead, or some cat food, or just nothing being delivered at all, despite your order being marked as completed. That's what happened to a number of Amazon UK customers over the past 24 hours in a situation which has left people trying to get a refund, and with PS5 stock severely limited, the task of finding a console all over again. And it basically, I think it was updated again. It basically said that Amazon has acknowledged the widespread issues in its PlayStation 5 deliveries and pledged that it will put it right for every customer who gets in contact. And then they're all about making the customer happy. And, you know, you go through that whole spiel. But I mean, I couldn't imagine if I went ahead, I did my pre-order, it was secured, and now I'm just waiting for it to come in. The day arrives for my PlayStation 5 to be delivered to my house. And A, if it came in that same day, or B, it had to get, I know some of these reports said that like some people had to wait an extra day because it said that it came in, but it didn't actually came in. And then they got a box the next day, I think. So I couldn't imagine either way getting that box and opening it up. And you're just getting, people were putting posters, or some people were posting pictures. They got a Nerf Ultra gun. And then someone had talked about like in the article about getting some cat food, some kitchen appliances. I would lose my mind. I would absolutely lose my mind. And in fact, this kind of brings me back to a situation I had before where I had ordered an iPhone back when the first iPhone 10 came out. And then I remember, you know, I was waiting for it to get delivered from UPS. and then it got marked as delivered, and I was like, it never been delivered. I was like, this is impossible. I remember calling UPS. Next day, they were like, okay, just come back. Just wait for it to come back next day. Sometimes it gets marked, and they'll just redeliver it the next day or something like that. And same thing. What happened to a lot of these people here? Same thing happened to me. I never got the package at all. Come to find out, it was stolen. But I mean, the fact of like waiting for something that you want to come in, especially the hype for the PlayStation 5, and then you find out you're not getting it. Either something happened. I don't necessarily know what exactly happened. Whether something from Amazon, like a mix-up or something, but that sucks. That 100% sucks to not get your PlayStation 5 that you've been waiting for anxiously, especially on launch day. Anybody's gonna go crazy from that.
Yeah, that looks crazy.
I'd be going after these delivery drivers.
Yeah,
and if it's happening in warehouse, if it's happening in warehouse,
that's what I'm wondering.
They should have cameras to catch this. There's no way someone's just walking out with a PS5 out of the warehouse.
And it's marking it as like it's like delivered too. Like that's got to be traceable. I'm sure just obviously something is not right. Who would have marked that as delivered? I don't know.
I imagine they have a system like they have like a certain amount of order numbers tailored to a specific truck that is under someone's that's under a specific driver for that day that had those orders. So they're going to go after those people. They're going to go after anyone who worked in the warehouse that it went through. Cause I think as far as I'm aware, they have to Amazon has to, it goes through like employees and stuff like that. So it has to be, I guess, scanned. And so whoever's working the scanner, they're going to go to them next and go next up the line until they find it.
They'll find it.
Yeah. I was going to say there's a way to go back and track that and go back to this person, go back to this person, go back to this person. My thing is like I don't know, how do you expect to, if that was the case? How do you? I mean, did you expect to not get caught? Like, is this a situation where you only got the job just to get it, just so you can like get fired or leave, or just never show back up? Like, that had to be the case, because if you actually went back to work that next day, if you were the guy that maybe had taken it, like, you were gonna get caught. There's no way that was not gonna backtrack. There's no way no one's gonna call and be like, yeah, like my PS5, like people were definitely gonna call and say my PS5 never showed up. Like, what's going on? Like, it's crazy.
At the same time, no one should have access to what the order actually is until aside from when it gets packaged, obviously. But I can't imagine because it's just a label after that point, so they shouldn't know what's actually in it. At least they shouldn't, in my opinion. I don't think after it's been packaged, they should just be able to scan it and it's off. They don't have to worry about what's in it. But if they start to seeing, these boxes that are similar, and the drivers or whoever's getting these out are like, maybe now these are what the PS5s are coming in. Okay. So if they're not catching them in the warehouse, which again they have cameras, I'd imagine, because there's no way no one's gonna get caught. There's no way no one's gonna get caught with some bag of cat food or an appliance swapping the boxes in the middle of the day in the work shift, just sitting there without either being seen or whatever. So it has to be someone in the delivery truck. They're like parking somewhere and then going through the box and swapping it or something. They're like taking their coffee maker from their house and shoving it in the box or something.
Well, Amazon deals with a bunch of like third-party delivery companies, and as I was scrolling through this article, it even specifically mentioned one of them, like a UK, like Amazon's delivery warehouse will hand the package off to like some other company, and then those drivers are the ones that are tampering with the rest of the delivery process in most cases.
But I'm sure Amazon is in contact and it can actually get the chain from where it comes from. I mean, it's like UPS, FedEx, and DHL and all this kind of crap that's, handling all these deliveries. And Amazon does have their own delivery trucks. At this point, I think Amazon should just say, hey, none of these extra ones, we're going to use our own trucks now. Screw you guys.
I mean, it's like Lethal said, the issue is, do they think they were going to get caught? Like, there's a way to track all this stuff, so... Yeah, it's like, was it really just worth it?
Nah, like they definitely had that in plan. They were like, "Yo, we're just gonna get the PS5, like get the job." Like, there's no way.
Yeah,
I think for because it was an issue it's either an issue within Amazon or just at least these shipping companies. If Amazon does the right thing, not only securing these people another PS5 or just getting the PS5 in general for these people, and maybe giving like credit to like their Amazon account, I think would be a fair thing, because they had to go through all this trouble just to get this resolved. So like maybe like, I don't know what would be fair for this, because this is a significantly high priced device. So maybe like $100 Amazon credit, maybe.
maybe. I don't know. Me, I'd be going crazy. I don't know. I don't know if that'd be good enough for me.
Oh no, someone would be losing their job by the end of it.
Oh yeah,
Multiple people would be losing their job.
The worst part too.
I figured it out.
The worst part too is this is the UK audience. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think this is from Amazon UK. So like these are the guys who had to watch the people from like the US get it, a week earlier, and they got it the second week after. Like, dude, I'm just saying, I'd be going nuts. I would be going absolutely nuts. Just imagine.
Oh, they had time to look and see like how big the boxes were.
Yeah, like these are the you had a week. You had a week to kind of like watch everybody else kind of have the experience, and you're just like, yeah, now it's my turn. Oh wait, what the hell is this George Foreman girl in my box? Like, what is this Nerf gun? I didn't know. Like, I would just be going crazy, man.
My house.
It's like, where do I put the disc in? Huh?
Yeah, like, oh, this is what it looks like.
They swap out Miles Morales for like a piece of bologna or something.
Oh man. All right. Well, I mean, it's kind of outrageous because they, like you said, this is the first like wave of launch devices, right?
Yeah.
So just been waiting for an extra week while the rest of North America and all the other regions get it, and then you're just like, all right, it's my turn, and you get nothing. It's pretty low, especially if it was supposed to be. What makes it worse is if it's not just for me, but if it was like for my nephew or for your kid.
Right? Oh yeah. I mean?
Like you would just be soul crushed. At that point, but all right. Okay, Nas, what do we got next up on the docket here?
You have the PlayStation's tone-deaf response to the hard drive issues and storage issues.
All right, so I think Lethal, you got a PS5 out of all of us. How much space does it start off with? How much space do you actually end up with?
Yeah, the operating system takes up a chunk. We know that.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's supposed to be. I believe it's like 800 and I don't know, is it 65 gigabytes? I think, or 85 gigabytes. Oh, 825. Okay, and then you end up only actually getting like 600. I think it's like 67.
Yeah.
So you lose out like 200. With everything that's kind of baked in. But that's it sucks. It definitely sucks for anybody who obviously needs to I don't know. I guess it's more for the people who like to have their games installed. And, I'm one of those people where I'm lucky enough to have good enough internet where I can kind of like, don't mind if I had to like delete a game and reinstall it. Yeah, like delete a game and reinstall it later if I just want to play it. But there are some people out there who don't really have that option. Maybe their internet it's limited. Maybe it gets throttled at some point. It's just not good to keep doing that. So they want to keep it installed. So the fact that there's not much kind of like for extra storage for your PlayStation 5 at this time, like for launch, it's definitely rough, especially with games out there like you look at Call of Duty, the new Cold War that just dropped. Yeah,
Cold War.
That game's like 150 gigabytes. Look at Miles Morales Spider-Man that comes with the actual remastered Spider-Man. That's over 100 gigabytes. Every game is about 50 to like 60 gigabytes. I mean, that can, in reality, if you think about that, that could be like maybe 10 or less games. That's a lot of space already taken out. So basically, this article was talking about someone had an interview. I don't want to say. Okay, it was an interview with The Telegraph with Jim Ryan. That basically the whole thing was that Jim Ryan kind of put it out there that he's not really hearing any complaints about storage. And if you're a PlayStation person like myself, there's nothing but a ton of complaints about the storage that's out there. It's almost like he's not, I don't know where that came from. It's either he's playing it like, yeah, I'm going to act like I know I don't hear nothing, or he's really just not hearing it, but it's definitely out there. I've seen it everywhere. And when you look at, again, obviously you have to kind of compare this to what is like, what's Microsoft kind of offering with their Xbox Series X? Is it kind of the same deal? No. You know what they have? They have a storage expansion card for their Series X and Series S that gives you an additional 1 terabyte of external memory that basically has the same speed and power of their internal SSD. Like they're giving you that on launch right away. You know what I mean? They're like saying, here's extra storage just in case you need it. Obviously, you got to buy it and you got to pay for it, but that's an extra terabyte. And so again, as a PlayStation person, I'm just sitting there like, oh man, like that's one of those pro consumer moves that you just didn't go for this time, huh? And it definitely sucks. And I feel for those people that, they don't really have maybe the best of internet, and they do require that space on their actual, on their PlayStation, and they really can't do the whole delete, reinstall. So that sucks.
In terms of the PlayStation like hard drive, it's an NVMe drive. Mm-hmm. It just depends on what speeds that NVMe is. Mm-hmm. And then you can buy any one of the NVMEs that go in a computer and literally just put it in the PS5. Because I believe it can take the short and the long NVMe drives. So you can extend it to 2 to 4 and all that sort of terabytes. And actually, the PS5's operating system is actually smaller than Xbox's, which is weird. So, but Xbox offered a terabyte, so I don't get why they didn't just go for the full tera.
How much storage does the Xbox Series X have?
It's a terabyte.
A terabyte? Okay.
I thought the 825 was post operating system when I first saw this.
Yeah, that's what I
saw the size.
That's what I thought too. I was really upset when
I was like, okay,
they're
they're kind of advertising it post operating system, so they actually have a terabyte in there, so we get 825. So that's not too bad. Mm-hmm. It's literally almost the same size as a PS4's hard drive when it launched, so not much different. But again, PlayStation, unlike Xbox, uses NVMe. Xbox has their own proprietary hard drive inside of its console, which needs to be going through Xbox. PlayStation has the ability to upgrade with third-party NVMe's that you can get for a lot cheaper. So there's PlayStation's version of that to where they got a leg up over Xbox in terms of that. But again, Xbox offered the solution right out the gate versus PlayStation not really saying much, because I'm sure not a lot of people realize that the NVMe can be actually upgraded to a different one if they so chose to. I'm sure it's in there somewhere in the documentation, but who reads that?
Yeah, there's that. Here's my question: you can attach external hard drives, right, to the PS5?
Yeah, I believe you can. Yeah, you can definitely do that. But obviously, like what people were saying and reporting, it's not gonna play.
It doesn't play PS4 games, but that's a software update that can fix that. They can easily fix it.
And they said they've addressed that they're gonna work on future updates for stuff like that.
Yeah, so right now
that's the one thing they should fix.
Yeah, that's what I'm reading right now is you can only store PS4 games on the external hard drive, and you can play the PS4 games off it. You can't store or play PS5 games off the external, which they, like you said, it's just a software thing, right?
Yeah,
you can play the PS4. Okay, it's PS5 games you can't play is the opposite. Never mind. So yeah. That kind of sucks, as you obviously want to play your PS5 games like just by downloading an external drive, but at the same time, if you're able to, even if you can't play them, if you can move them between the two, and that's
not bad either.
Downloading it constantly, so that's not a terrible thing. But again, that's a thing they should obviously fix in the software update. That it shouldn't take that much to fix.
Yeah, they're not supported right now, but you know they're cooking up a proprietary one to sell you soon afterwards here down the road. And alternatively, like, I don't know, it is an issue. I mean, because like you said, you get like a couple games installed on there and then you're out of room. Sometimes the PlayStation Network itself gates the download speed. So even if you have a really fast home connection like myself,
that's true.
I find that the PlayStation 4's network would, slow my download speeds, and you have to like put your console in rest mode sometimes. Then you can't watch it, so you gotta play a guessing game as to when it's finished, turn it back on. I mean, unless you have the phone app, I guess, to notify you. But the original excuse that they gave for all this was that they like finally tuned the hard drive read and write speeds so that the game developers could capitalize on it, and essentially no game, or at least no first party game on PlayStation 5 should have any load screens like ever, right? That's their excuse. Because if it wasn't so, this size hard drive with the NVMe matched up perfectly and the game developers programming around the very specific read and write speeds that they have access to, then there would be, load times. God forbid there's any load times, so no extra hard drive space for now.
Right. In terms of like the load times, if it is coming down to that and developers are choosing to develop for these faster speeds, if you're putting on something like a mechanical or a 2.5 SSD that can't match that, I can get why they don't have it set to play them, because it would probably load a lot longer. And, if there's not much of a load screen, what are you going to be looking at? And that could cause crashes or anything like that to develop within these games. So that's probably why they don't have it set to work. But it works with the PS4 games, because PS4 games were obviously built for these lower speed hard drives to actually work and have load screens and stuff like that. So it makes sense, but they should obviously plan to develop for the lower speeds, because people are going to want to put expandable storage on their device too.
Yeah, the reason why this is a big deal is because, like you said, you get put in a couple games and that's it. does this limit people in purchasing new titles at all? You know what I mean? Is this a factor to consider at all?
I would assume most people, because the library system they have is pretty convenient, and the fact that they separate your game save files from the actual game data itself, it makes it real easy to just delete stuff to make room for new stuff, which never hurt like me in terms of buying new things, but what it did hurt was me going back and finishing a bunch of games that I had already bought. Like, I would start them, play through them, have my save file, delete the game to make room for something new, and then essentially never go back to it. Like, a couple games I can name off the top of my head that were like that, like The Witcher 3, Red Dead Redemption 2 was huge, and I needed room for other stuff. GTA 5, I deleted that one countless times to make room for other stuff, and then re-downloaded it to go back to the online mode, but I never finished the campaign because of that. Plenty of games. The Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pains was another one. Like, I could probably list off quite a few games that I just deleted, forgot to go back to because new stuff came out and I needed that hard drive space. That was only on the PS4. So I could imagine that, the same problems, new generation here.
And like
the PS4 at least had a disc. This would more so affect the digital people of the PS5.
Yeah.
Well, even when you buy a game on
you can
disc,
just put a disc in and have it transfer the the data from the disc, and then obviously have update files. But the base game would still be playable to an extent.
Yeah, for that sake, it is more convenient to have the disc. But like you mentioned, like as soon as PS4 started, they started this new era of, as soon as you put the disc in, it's like a computer where it installs to the PlayStation itself and then runs off the hard drive instead of off the disc, like PS2, PS3, and previous eras, which again is a load time. It significantly cuts down the load times, not having to load any data off the disc itself. But that's where all these hard drive problems became a much more noticeable issue than previous. Like before on PS1, PS2, even PS3, you could get away with just having a memory card. You didn't even need a hard drive. Now, hard drives are mandatory. Like, you're not buying like the Xbox 360 base model that didn't even come with a hard drive. Like, that wouldn't even fly in today's day and age. So,
you remember the PS3 days when that game used to, like, the max size was like 10 gigabytes? Now it's 10 times the size. It's like, yo,
the good old days.
Yeah,
I'd gladly take a 10 gig.
It's definitely a different day and age these days. So,
dude,
and nothing else.
Half is like 10, almost 5 gigs. So,
yeah, true enough.
So
you say something, Nico?
No, I was just gonna say too, just to kind of like finish off that little bit. Another thing I was thinking too, as I was hearing Nas talk about a couple of games that he was deleting, and I was thinking about it too. Like, will people delete games to make space and stuff like that? At the end of the day, I think so. And when you think about it too, for PlayStation, a lot of people might keep games like Destiny on there. Maybe if they're into like Call of Duty, they're gonna keep that on there. Like once you finish Spider-Man, you're probably gonna delete it. Like I don't of course, PlayStation has like those like first party, really just story, single player kind of driven games. Once you kind of like finish that game, I think most people will just take it out most of the time. So I mean, the only games that they'll probably be keeping on there, probably be like the games that they play kind of year round, maybe like Call of Duty.
Your games as a service type games, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, not that people are playing multiple of those. Like obviously, people playing like 3 of those types of games. Maybe they'll keep it on there, but I think for the most part, I feel like when I from myself or what I've seen from others, it's usually they'll keep one or two of those kind of games there, and the rest usually just delete and then reinstall later on if they want to. But it's those games that are just like one and done. Once you're done with it, that's it.
Yeah, and just keep it in your library, and it'll collect digital dust instead of physical dust.
Yeah, pretty much.
Alrighty. Well, I think we tackled everything about the lack of hard drive space, but
yeah, you had a couple other just kind of assorted topics. Some of them I put in the title, but I don't have like B-roll or something to look at. But you mentioned the Capcom ransomware attacks, and then another like huge list of games being leaked against the will of the developers, I would assume.
Yeah, it's in here if I remember. So, yeah, I vaguely understand what's going on. So, ransomware, I'm assuming, is just like someone hacked in and is telling Capcom pay up or that's it. And as far as I understand it, Capcom's like, no, I'm not paying anything, and so they decided to leak all the games that are going to be released by Capcom up until 2024. So let's see, Dragon's Dogma sequel, Final Fight, and Power Stone, Street Fighter 6. So, I mean, you guys can brief me up a little more on this. I just heard about it. I'm like, okay, this is pretty interesting.
Yeah, so I think over here, so there's like here's a list here. So there's Resident Evil Outbreak that is coming out in 2021, and there's what Nolar said is the Dragon Dogma 2, Street Fighter 6 coming out in 2022. Rockman, the Mega Man that's coming in North America, which is coming out in 22, and then the other big game that is like everybody is going crazy for. Well, personally, me, I wish Sunblade was here. Was the Resident Evil 4 remake, which is coming out in 2020. And then we got another big title, which is Monster Hunter 6, which is coming out in 2023. Which is another big title, which is coming out. I really thought they were done with Monster Hunter World, but I guess I thought like the unofficial game for the console was going to be Monster Hunter World, but I guess they're making another Monster Hunter game for the consoles, which makes sense because this is new gen. And of course, we got a Biohazard Apocalypse coming out in 2023. And another version of Street Fighter 6, I think they're going to say Super Street Fighter 6, coming out in 2023. Final Fight Remake coming in 2024. Power Stone, like what Nolar said. And of course, Ultra Street Fighter 6, which is another version of the game that's coming out in 2024. And then Resident Evil Hank, or Hunk, is coming out in 2024. So there's a lot of actually good games that are coming out. So I just looked at it tonight. I looked up at a video, and then I was like, so what games are leaking out? And the games that have caught me interest was actually Resident Evil 4, Monster Hunter 6, and of course Street Fighters.
That's a lot, dude.
Yeah, it is.
That's so crazy. I mean, and I guess another part to add on to the story too is that people are also saying that like this list could be kind of old, and this is something that is not up to date because this was something that could possibly have been before COVID. So we don't know if these dates are even accurate anymore. But I mean, I think at the same time though, you still got leaked a bunch of your upcoming titles probably, and I'm sure a bunch of these are probably in the works. And it's a pretty crazy list. And I mean, on top of this, there was also leaks of like, a breach of personal information from employees, business transactions, and all that stuff is terrible. I mean, that's like the bad end of everything. I mean, it's one thing to have like your future titles leaked and now people know the future of the games, but the bad part of this is like people's information did get leaked. And so I feel like the best thing I hope that they're doing and addressing at this time is making sure they're securing their employees and all that stuff, because nothing is worse than knowing that like, your information is, well, that's controversial now that your information is already out there, but I mean now for sure that your information is definitely out there floating that could be used for whatever purpose they want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, being held hostage like this is just stupid, right? I mean, it's kind of cool to find out like, oh, wow, they're working on another Monster Hunter, or like Street Fighter 6 is coming out. Like, yeah, that's cool from my perspective of like being a consumer, but like you said, being in the company, it's like, well, people's personal information, date of birth, stuff that they could get their identity stolen. So there's just so many legal ramifications of the breach that just happened that it sucks, man. Like there's no other way to put it. It's I would rather have them not. I would rather not know what's coming out and have those people's information protected than what just happened now. So
and even Eurogamer was getting Eurogamer and a bunch of other outlets that were kind of reporting on this. People were even saying like, like trying to, I don't know, I guess not to shed so much light on this kind of and like make it bigger or something like that. But even some of these, like some people that were leaking the titles and just leaking all this information, like that was already, again, being leaked by the ransom people and everything. But even they were getting some heat on this subject too.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's a very touchy subject because it's like, do you want to give those people the attention, like the people holding them ransom? Do you want to give them the focus that they want? But at the same time, you're like, well, if I'm a news outlet, I want to kind of capture on things. I want to ride the lightning. So
it's big news. So 100% you'd want to cap on that.
Any thoughts, Naz? Or
I mean, it's unfortunate, but I don't know the details of why the hacker did it or what their motivations were.
Yeah, that's something that I couldn't find either.
Yeah, it's just
the
like
motivation.
Now we know, and it is what it is, I guess. Like cat's out of the bag. Just like that fateful leaking of UI Goku and June.
Basically,
Oh my god.
Sometimes the best laid plans of mice and men just do not go as they were intended to go, and
Yep.
you just kinda have
honestly,
to-
like with this thing, it kind of makes me like unhype like for the games that are coming out for like for the next a couple of years. Like I would expect it. Like they were saying that they were gonna make Street Fighter 6 for sure because right now Street Fighter 5 is in their in their last season right now because they're still in their because I think this season is gonna be until next year, and then I would assume probably in 2021 at the end of that year they're going to announce Street Fighter 6, of course, because it was rumors that they're going to make it. So we all knew that's going to happen. But also I'm kind of hype at the same time that they finally are going to make Resident Evil 4 remake. We all knew that was going to come out because they did remake 2, they did remake 3 already. Personally, I don't like remake 3 because it was just it felt rushed to me. So it makes me more happy that the Resident Evil 4 is kind of coming out in 2 years later, well, in 2 years practically. So they're gonna take their time on it. So hopefully they don't rush it as like Resident Evil 3. So I'm personally kind of not hype and not really then I'm really hype about it. So it's kind of sucks that this leaker or this hacker just leak these dates.
Yeah, it does steal a lot of the hype away from the games themselves, which is unfortunate. But they can still get it back. I mean, if they're going to make quality games and they start releasing previews here and there, and they can still keep people hype about the releases.
I mean, like you could think of it too from another point of view, but like this could, like a lot of people are also hyped seeing this list and seeing all these titles too. Like it is doing also the opposite effect. People are, talking now about a Power Stone remake. For me, I remember that game back when I was a kid, dude. The fact that I know that it's potentially gonna, be a thing that's on their head to come out. It says 2024, but even these dates can get skewed. But even so, like there's also that opposite effect that people are even super like hyped to see these upcoming Capcom titles come out too. So it definitely, I mean, again, it had its bad that it did, but it's also giving some light to, just some exposure to, all these new titles that people are definitely now, talking about. It's generating buzz and it's generating hype, and people are talking about Capcom now.
Yeah, basically.
Alrighty. I guess we kind of said all that we need to say about that. We have one more topic, right?
I don't, unless you remember what it is, I don't think so.
Oh, Cyberpunk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me get the article for you. 1 second.
Oh yeah, we could also briefly discuss the Nintendo. Did we talk about them banning the streamers who tried to stream the Zelda game when it came out and the effects?
Yeah.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah.
That's pretty rough.
To quickly dispel that, it was mostly, from what I understand, people that were outside of their region trying to jump further west to access the game earlier, and then they were streaming it due to the fact that they were able to get it earlier than what it was supposed to be released in their region. And those are allegedly the people that Nintendo targeted for the bans. But I don't have too much actual data to confirm or deny that. That's just what I gathered in my quick reporting on the subject.
The only problem with that is this happens for not just this game. It happens for any game. Like Pokemon, that's something that's always happened in Pokemon. People always go to the New Zealand or the Australian eShops to get this game early to stream it to upload, and they've never been hit before, so why even bother with that now? Like, it doesn't make really much sense. I mean, again, it's Nintendo within their right, but again, once a game is out, usually the mindset that has been played is, once the game is out in its first region, the embargo is gone. It's out. It's ready. We're playing it. It's usually generally what at least with Pokemon, that's generally what's there. It's fair game. But I don't know. I think Nintendo would get a lot of backlash for that, more so than anything. On top of the Smash stuff as well. I feel like
it's just
people
bad
are gonna
news
be
for
upset
them all
it's
over.
just like, why why not put a region lock on the console if you don't want this to happen? But they settled to not region lock the console. That's your own fault.
You're right. I mean, and it's just bad PR for them left or right, and that's what it's just compounding that plus all the other things.
I mean, even if a regional lock console still did it, people still did it on the 3DS with Pokemon. They just made an Australian eShop account, went onto their 3DS or had a different 3DS, and just did it through that. And it's not a new thing to Nintendo. It shouldn't be. So, like, what are you doing?
I don't know. Nas, I sent the link in the Discord, so if you want to take a look.
Oh, Cyberpunk link.
Yeah. So, one last thing we're gonna talk about before maybe you guys have some questions for us or whatever, we can do it. This last one is Cyberpunk 2077. I'm sure you guys know about it. If you guys saw, we did a whole thing about Twitch DMCA takedown issues with on the channel 5.9, and we kind of talked about this where they were like, "Hey, what about the biggest game of the year?" And that person was referring to Cyberpunk 2077. Do we have to turn off all the sounds and all the music because I want to stream it? I want to play it live. And the guy had a point because Cyberpunk 2077, CD Projekt Red had hired a bunch of incredible artists to make and write music for their game, but so that would have been a big concern, and they had a workaround. So they decided to put in a quote-unquote streamer mode that will disable the tracks that would qualify for DMCA takedowns. Not every track is going to be removed, and it won't be like no sound at all. What they ended up doing was they would fill the spot with some other original DMC friendly music, so you could just still play it, and when you're streaming it won't have like the featured title track by Daft Punk or whoever else they hired. It'll be some just generic kind of thing that would be fine. But I don't know. I have some feelings on it, but let's go around the table first. Kensei, what do you think? Is this a good thing? Was this made in mind, or is this kind of like they're hopping on the whole Twitch, getting hit by DMCA and like riding the train that way?
I think they're hopping on that thing because lately, as Twitch has did the DMCA thing, what I think about it, I think it's really cool that they are doing that, so that us streamers cannot get banned in it. And also, also sometimes I think it's kind of sad because we don't get to hear the music along with our fan base hearing the music together. So it's like they're trying to. It's like I'm not appreciating. It's like I don't know. It's just weird to me that they're doing this, and it makes sense to me that it like I can only have to hear that like these type of artists like that they make in the game by myself, which is kind of like I want to also like have you guys listen to the music as well, and then pretty much appreciate it with you guys. But at the same time, it's also really good that they are having a streamer mode where they're gonna get rid of those copyrighted music, and it's all right, but it also depends on the music that they also have for the streamer mode. It could be probably lame. It could be something just like not fitting the actual game. So I would assume that they're gonna have something that is fitting in the game. But for me personally, I feel half on half on it. It's like it's okay, but sometimes we should just have it there, like have the music there, so people can actually enjoy the music that the artists produce into this game.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I more or less agree. Lethal, you got any thoughts?
I mean, I pretty much agree with what Kensei said. I'm on the same thing about it, where like I understand, the whole reasoning for the copyrighted music and everything, but that does kind of suck. Especially, I mean, I'm not sure if the artists that were involved into the game soundtrack and everything. I don't know if some of them are like big time artists or whatnot, but if there's maybe artists who were looking for some of that exposure and they were able to get their music into a game. I do feel like I wish that for those that want to get the exposure, that they would be able to use this game and for it to be streamed, and again, just for the exposure to just go like all over the place. I do wish like that was something that we could do. Like I don't know. I feel for exactly how Kensei was pretty much saying it. Like I wish there was a way that we could, still share that music. I wish there was like a Twitch. I don't know if it's a Twitch. I don't know exactly how it works. Where like to be able to play that copyrighted music and be okay with it. I wish there was some type of deal that was done that would allow us to be able to do stuff like that. But it definitely sucks because I've always looked at it, and I've seen from other musicians too, like, some of them, some of them like if their music is streamed and stuff like that, because they just want, they want that extra exposure, regardless of how, people want to interpret that, whether, it doesn't mean that people are going to go and buy the music. At the end of the day, people are going to learn about that artist and might look into that artist. They might open that artist up in like Spotify, they might open them up in Apple Music. Like it goes beyond, I think, just like the streaming, it goes just beyond that. It opens the possibility, for people to really look into these artists. So besides that, that's one thing. But I mean, the fact that what they are doing is, CD Projekt Red is doing the whole streamer mode. I think that's great. I think that's really great for streamers to be able, to not have to fear, getting hit with a copyright strike. I've been seeing all types of reports of people getting hit with copyright strikes for some of the scariest reasons. Like I forgot, it was a guy who got hit with a copyright strike because of everything that's going on with Twitch and all that stuff. I think he was doing like an IRL stream, and he walked past, he said, I think past a store or something like that. And so the stream caught like 30 seconds of like, I think a Kanye West song, and he got hit with that bad. So I'm just thinking like, it's glad to see that, companies are doing something to help avoid stuff like that. So in that, in that aspect, I do like that too. Yeah.
And then also I heard about another streamer got DMCA just because I think he was streaming in his own house, and then he was trying to make food from his blender, and apparently they banned him for using copyrighted music, and the music was from Skrillex. I'm like, how did he get banned just by using a blender and the music? Like, how did a blender made a Skrillex music? Like, it did not. So, yeah, it's just dumb that they actually did this. So it makes sense that people now with Cyberpunk is making this because they don't want to, spook the people and saying, oh, they can't stream this on Twitch or on YouTube. So personally, yeah, this is really great, and I think this is a good idea that they did this.
Yeah. Hydros, you got any thoughts?
You guys pretty much hit all of them. Yeah, I mean, I get it, because in terms of when, like, if it's a story-driven game, like, Cyberpunk and stuff like that, definitely seems like it also has that story element to it. Obviously, they've been hyping up all this stuff that you can do in the game, and the music plays a huge part of the immersion of a game, especially a single-player game. And to remove that element, or to have to worry about having that element removed and then, taking yourself out of the immersion to just fit into not getting copyright striked, it's kind of annoying, because, you definitely want the full experience, and the music is a part of that entire experience. You want to, I mean, multiplayer is multiplayer. I mean, I always disable music in multiplayer, because obviously if I'm playing like Call of Duty, I don't want that music playing in my ear. Trying to snipe somebody down the corridor there, but something like Cyberpunk or Miles Morales, like, the music immerses you so much more than anything, because it's amongst other things, but the music just makes the game. So to not have to worry about that, I wish Twitch and even music companies would fix all of this copyright issue, to be like, again, as y'all said, it's exposure for these music artists as well. It's not like we're listening to their streams, just sitting there sleeping in the bedroom and just playing the music on their stream. It's like we're playing a game. It's, the music isn't the focus of the stream.
Right.
It's a part of it, but it's not the focus. And people are, you're playing the game and you're like, oh, I like this track, and you can say, like, if someone asks what the track is, they go, hey, go check out the artist. This is the person that did it in the game.
Right.
People go check out the artist even more, and it's. I see the point of the music industry, but I feel like there's way less negatives to it nowadays than positives for an artist and streamers to kind of cohabitate online with this stuff, and to not have to worry about copyright striking everybody.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, I just pulled up the list right here real quick. I'll just read it to you guys. There's a few artists for the soundtrack, and let me just list you the names of the artists here. Run the Jewels, Sophie, Conrad, Old Money, The Arm, Converge, Tomb Mold, Deaf Kids, Health, Grimes, Namako Puri. So, like, I don't know any of these people, but like, if I listen to their music, it sounds good, I'll go check them out. And so for my 2 cents here is, like, you guys pretty much hit everything, but as a like playing a single player game, everything matters, right? So if you're taking out the music and supplementing it with something else that is comparable, well, that's not the intention of the developers. They wanted you to play they wanted this music to play while you're in this area to give you the frantic and frightened nature, or the adrenaline pumping like car chasing scene, like whatever it is. They intentionally made the game with certain soundtracks to play on cue. And if you just take those out because of DMCA issues on Twitch or streaming in general, that's just not the same experience. That's the problem I have. Is like the whole point of purpose of streaming is to share your experience with your audience. And if you can't have the same shared experience, is it really the same thing? You know? So granted, I'd rather have this option than not have it, and then have like every single Twitch streamer or YouTube streamer or Facebook gaming, I don't know if anyone's on there, to get copyright struck and, you know, get their channel taken down, all that stuff. I'd rather have them supplemented with this thing, but it feels really sad to see that there is a streamer mode just to avoid these issues. And so I don't know. I'm in that camp. So
I definitely agree with them putting it in here. It makes it a whole lot better to have this option to not screw over everybody at the same time. But as you said, it's the immersion of the music matters so much more to a game than anything. And to cut it out, it's like, well, that takes out a lot of the experience that you're trying to fulfill while playing the game. Because in certain moments, the music just makes it. Like if you're in an intense moment, as you said, the music just like deepens and everything like that. It intensifies and all that. And it's just, you know, I don't want to lose any of that. But at the same time, the option is there. I'm glad I don't have to worry about getting copyrighted and all that kind of crap, because the music industry want to be total assholes.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it pretty much ended the story. I mean, I, in a former life, was a musician myself. I still am, I guess, to a degree. I just don't write much anymore. But to echo Lethal's point, like, I'd rather have people listen to it. Like, honestly, I'd rather have you guys download it and share that, but then come see me at a show or buy some merch. Right. You know what I mean? The 2 cents that, you know, you were gonna buy, or I would have made off of $1 sale on Spotify, means nothing compared to you paying $25 to go see me at a show or whatever the case may be. So again, the artists themselves probably don't have an issue. It's really the publishing music companies that have the problems. Of course, they want to make their money. I get it, but it's a legal right versus moral right.
It's a huge context issue too, because when you're playing this game, you're not competing with like Spotify and sales of the song. Like those artists and those record labels, they were paid for their work in this game. Yeah. So it's not like when you had mentioned Alara, well, if I was an artist, I'd be happy with people just listening to it. Well, yeah, they're happy for that when people play the game and spread it around, but they also were paid for that work. It's not like you're stealing the work and using it against their will and profiting off of it. Like they were literally paid, and we're just playing the game and showing that to our viewership. So overall, I think it's just like, when I say it's like a smart option, and when I say that, it's like we always had this feature spanning back at least a decade in gaming, where you could just go into the options menu and like differentiate, turn down the music volume but leave the sound effects and everything else turned up. So this is just like a content ID aware version of that, where it'll just selectively mute songs. But another weird thing is they're gonna have to keep up with this as time goes on, right? Because like if anyone in the audience has Monster Cat Gold or is a content creator or anything like that, is aware, when you sign up for those services, they make you aware that things always change over time, and certain songs that they had licensing to, they'll lose licensing from those. Other songs, they only have license for a certain amount of time. Other songs they didn't have licensing to, and then they can acquire the licensing to it, and then all of a sudden it is available to play. So this is something that could change over time as well. And I mean, I understand Twitch is mostly trying to lead the charge on this to protect the streamers, But it just does illustrate a huge issue with this whole copyright content and the way that it's being reproduced, in front of an audience, and how that is interpreted as like financial damage and whatnot. Like, the whole system could use a reevaluation, I believe, like the legal framework around all this.
I guess you brought up an interesting point, because you're like, licenses can be taken, can be acquired, things can be re-extended and whatnot. So this is an ongoing service that they need to upkeep. Now, this is the first time I've heard where one game company or publisher and developer, I should say, are making themselves like super aware. And I agree with Kensei, where I think they're just trying to ride the hype of, hey, Twitch is having a terrible controversy. Let's just capitalize on that and get more people to stream our game. But are they biting off too much more than they can chew? Because, like you said, they're going to have to keep updating this every 3 months, 6 months. Then if this becomes a de facto standard, does that mean every publisher and every game needs to consider these options as well? Like, I don't know. It's kind of like opening Pandora's box, in my opinion, because there's a lot of legal ramifications that can come from this.
Yeah, because now with them doing it for you, it's like installing in all new vehicles, right? They have the feature that'll like automatically parallel park for you, right? Where the car will like take control and it'll park itself. Like, that's all well and good, but it takes that power away from the operator. And then when you, over a long period of time, haven't had to worry about that, over time you lose that skill because you haven't been practicing it. So it definitely presents some very uniquely complicated situations where if the game developers now start doing this for a certain amount of time, and then a really popular game comes out where they don't do it, and people are used to having it done for them, and there's a whole lot of issues that could be presented here, and both on the good and the bad. As long as it's a well-maintained system that operates as intended and actually protects people while allowing you to continue to show off said content, then everything's fine. But as with all things in the world, I have a feeling that there'll be hiccups with this down the road, and we'll hear about it again for sure.
Yeah, I would say, do you guys think this, how Cyberpunk? Do you think other like game developers will follow this trend where they're gonna put like streamer mode into the games now?
Some will, some won't.
I think so too. Yeah, I mean, what was I gonna say? I definitely think some will, like Nasin, and some won't. I'm trying to think. I had to think I was going to go on here, but I 100% agree with that, because I'm thinking about the future of how this is going to go. I mean, if I don't know, what if streamers start changing platforms? Like, what if something like that happens? Like, that's going to all come into play because people, like, they have that audience, and that's going to be the exposure for that game, right? So, what if a new platform comes out of nowhere? Like, whatever. Again, just jokingly, but like, what if like Mixer gets revived or something like that? Who knows? But like, I'm just saying, like, that's there. I don't know. I think something like that, like a deal eventually has to be made, or something has to be made, because that's what's going to end up happening. And then you're going to end up losing your streamers, and then what's going to happen to your platform then? Like, I don't know. I just see like in the future that like something has to be kind of done to rectify that situation, because that's just going to be a constant problem. You're going to see, next thing you know, you're going to see a big streamer get hit with something, and then it just keeps going and going.
Oh yeah, that like, I'm waiting on the moment where like a big streamer gets hit with that. Everything is gonna go downhill for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, the issue is like the workaround should have been a blanket licensing bot for their partners, right? Mm-hmm. And that would have incentivized the affiliates to be like, okay, you got to play by the rules, got to dance around a little bit, get yourself to partner, and then you can not worry about it because we cover you with this license. But the problem is, even if you, like, let's say even if you bought your own license, like I forgot who it was, but one of the streamers was partnered with like Red Bull. Red Bull had some soundtracks that they gave them. They use it on their stream because they're sponsored by Red Bull, and then they got hit with the DMCA, and it's like, oh, what's the DMCA? Oh, it's by Red Bull. Idiots! I have the freaking rights from Red Bull. They're the ones who gave it to me, but it doesn't matter because the system is automated, right? Mm-hmm. So no matter, like, I thought the solution was just get a blanket license bot and that's it. But at the same time, because the system is automated, and then it gets further down into human review and all that stuff, people are going to get hit regardless. So there just needs to be some workaround. Buying licenses isn't the key, isn't the solution here. There's got to be one step further to solve this issue, because it's just going to get worse. And these things, like, as cool as this workaround is, it's not the end all be all, right? Because like you said, only Cyberpunk's doing this. Well, what if the next big game comes out, like God of War, Ragnarok, and the Nordic and Mythic soundtrack or choir is copyrighted? Well, do I mute the entire damn soundtrack? Like, it sucks.
It's not pleasing at all. It's not pleasing, because the next big game, of course, is God of War, and I think the other big game is Final Fantasy VII Remake, Part 2. So I think literally, like I want to hear everything in the game with all of these people. Like, if I'm stringing the God of War Ragnarok, that game is going to have some beautiful music. Like, I play the God of War 1, and it had like the most fantastic music ever, and I love everything about it. So just imagine if you're playing the game and then you get banned or a copyright strike just for playing God of War on stream. Everybody is going to be really pissed off about that. Like, especially big streamers as well, because I would assume the big streamers will get like the game early, and they'll play it on a stream and then ban or a strike. Like, it's not fun at all.
Yeah. Alrighty. Any other last words, you guys?
No. I've been putting this new hard drive you gave me to good use, so I recorded this whole segment as I've been streaming it, so I can send you that over if you'd like to use that for the YouTube side. Should have all the audio and everything.
Awesome.
Remember, the music industry are assholes.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they are. You're not wrong about that one at all. But Lethal, anything?
No, I mean that I was gonna actually say what Hydro just said. So exactly that, literally exactly that, man. If things start changing in the future, you know why.
Yeah. Kente, any last words?
Not really. Just the music industry are a bunch of assholes. So that's really it.
Yeah, trust me. I was a musician at one point. I understand how this all works. So
what was your DJ name? Was it like DJ Blowholes or something like that?
DJ Well.
No lost my DJ. Where's my DJ?
DJ Well.
Give it up for DJ Blowhole.
Can we get an old track?
I thought he was a metalhead. Weren't you like a bassist in a metal band or something?
No, I was a main songwriter and a guitarist, in a metal band. But it's another conversation for another day, guys.
No, I need to hear Nalar's screamo tracks.
With a little more no juice, then we'll be all good to go on that kind of all right, so.
Yep.
All right, guys, this was like an impromptu kind of thing. We were going to record some videos, but I was like, there's so many topics. Why don't we just go live with it, see who shows up? So appreciate everyone being here. If you guys like this kind of thing, let us know. Maybe we'll make this somewhat regular. But we might be doing something tonight. Are we streaming anything afterwards?
I don't know. Like, it's supposed to be Nintendo night, and I don't really have too much insight on what the situation is. Like, I could just start BSing and playing something right now. I mean, I could end the recording for the news and send, get that squared away and just keep going. But I don't
Okay.
I'm looking in the general Nintendo chat, and I don't.
Not much. All right. Well, we'll just end the stream here, and then if we're gonna be live again in a little bit, just make sure to follow us on all our social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. It's all in the panels below, guys. So thanks again once again, guys, for joining us on this little impromptu stream, and we'll catch y'all next time. All right. We're out.
Again, we might be going live again here shortly, so just keep your eyes and ears open for another notification, and we might see you again here real soon. Even if it's just one or two of us, we'll try and throw something together for y'all.
Yep.
Keep everyone entertained. Friday night, or Saturday morning, whatever it is for you now. But see you shortly.
See you guys.